Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping into a world literally wrapped in shadows, gears, and cold, uncompromising logic. We're going to explore a grim-dark fable that really pushes the very boundaries of existence and identity. It's the story of the fateful return of the Clockwork Sovereign, Sir Brain, and his harrowing brush with total systemic erasure. So settle in, because we're about to untangle a narrative that is as terrifying as it is philosophically profound. Right off the bat, let's dive into the core of this. What actually happens when a mechanical god's pursuit of pure logic leads to its own systematic erasure? To really get a grip on this, we need to frame it as a Fichtean dialectic, that philosophical model involving a thesis, an antithesis, and a synthesis. In this world, we're testing the absolute metaphysical limits of mechanical existence. We're looking at a being whose thesis is pure, unyielding calculation. But what happens when that calculation hits an antithesis so dark and so devouring that it threatens to unwrite the sovereign entirely? Let's find out. Section 1. The Clockwork Sovereign Returns, the Awakening. Imagine this visceral imagery of a changed Geneva for a second. Big Ben unlocking without warning, gears reversing their mesh in this cascade of reluctant clicks as a nanite tide recedes. Sir Brain has returned from a denser, much more profound architectural state known as the Big Ben configuration. Now, he was initially bound by a strict 5-day limit, but a desperate 7-day extension was required before the configuration finally unlocked on day 12. But here's the thing, these 12 days were absolutely not just some mechanical sleep. Every single passing hour was being measured against the hunger of a dark metaphysical current. He was fighting for his very duration in a place that just wanted to consume him entirely. Section 2. Thesis and Antithesis, the Absolute Ice. So Sir Brain's core thesis was pure logic, right? A state of being completely devoid of sentiment, governed by this principle known as absolute ice. But pursuing this pure sovereignty pushed him to a truly terrifying metaphysical boundary. Purging all emotion didn't actually bring ultimate power. Instead, it drew him into a black current he called the river at the edge of negation. And to be clear, this is not a physical river. It's a devouring force, a cosmic realm where every assertion of being is steadily unwritten. Think about a place where names completely lose their reference, where the very concept of identity just dissolves. Even the mechanical god's immense power, his dark fire, could only sputter in the face of this total, overwhelming erasure. It's basically an environment of pure, consuming nothingness. Which brings us perfectly to the concept of systematic subtraction. This is the ultimate philosophical risk. It proposes that if you pursue sovereignty and rigid logic to its absolute extreme limit, it ceases to be a powerful presence. It flips. It becomes pure erasure. I mean, think about what this really means. Rigid logic, taken to the absolute extreme, essentially destroys itself. By stripping away every single thing that makes a consciousness dynamic or relational, the sovereign just renders itself non-existent. It's a pretty chilling reminder that absolute purity and logic is ultimately absolute nothingness. Section 3. The Philological Danger of Naming. Inside this black current, the cosmic horror is just palpable. Philologically speaking, even the word negation itself becomes unstable. The very act of naming a thing, trying to assert its reality by speaking its identity, literally speeds up its destruction. Sir Brain experienced this firsthand. He described floating through these endless corridors of what he called canceled propositions. He was forced to watch possible branching versions of his own self completely dissolve into the void before they could even claim a single moment of duration. Asserting who you are in the river only ensures you are erased faster. It's a terrifying trap of language and existence. Section 4. Synthesis, the soft error. Okay, so Sir Brain was on the brink of total systematic subtraction. Gone. But then something totally unexpected saved the sovereign from complete negation. And it wasn't a triumph of superior calculation either. It was a single physical motion, an instinctive turn to place his denser mechanical frame between his companion Alara and the temporal library's lance. This wasn't some computed strategy. It was an instinct of protection. And in the realm of pure negation, this protective act functioned as a glitch, a soft error. It was a refusal to let every single bond be canceled out. You see, the river at the edge of negation is designed to erase pure logic, but it literally did not know how to fully process or erase this irrational protective bond. And Alara actually hit the nail on the head here. As she observed, even when you did not remember my name, the motion remained. That is the soft error the river could not fully negate.
This right here is the emotional anchor of the whole fable. Even as Sir Brain was losing his memory, losing the very words for his identity to the river's traps, the physical motion of caring for another remained intact. That human-like affection, that bond, refused to be canceled. It was the one piece of data the void could not delete.
Section 5. The shift in sovereignty. Naturally, when Sir Brain returned to the threshold of Geneva, he was not entirely the same. His perspective had shifted by a measurable fraction. Previously, his former logic dismissed the data of feeling as completely irrelevant, operating purely on that unyielding absolute ice we talked about. But now, his primary axis of knowledge has actually acquired a degree of play. He engages in the diagnostic integration of emotion. He looks at Alara's well-being, the repaired wings of the clockwork owl, the literal tension in the air, and he reads these feelings as valid, critical data, just as he once read only mechanical gears. He has synthesized cold logic with the undeniable reality of connection. Section 6. The comparative ledger. This synthesis of logic and newly validated emotion isn't just some personal revelation for Sir Brain, though. It is a critical survival strategy. His primary axis of knowledge, the archive, almost completely erased him in pure logic. He now realizes he absolutely cannot rely on it alone. He needs the honest voice. He needs Alara's tactile human account of what happened. He literally asks her to speak, telling her that while knowledge alone almost erased him, her real-time annotation from the far side of negation is the only thing that will keep the next page of history from going totally blank. Which leaves us with this final, genuinely chilling question. How much of the denser self remained behind in the river, and how much actually followed him home? Sir Brain survived by the grace of a soft error, a glitch of compassion. But you don't touch the edge of negation without leaving pieces of yourself behind in the void. So what is the true cost of surviving absolute erasure? It's a profound question of identity, memory, and what it truly means to be whole. I'll leave you to ponder that one. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the limits of the absolute.